Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of Talking Craps. Now, tonight, we're going to slow things down a little bit. We're going to visit with Cousin Vito from Cousin Vito's podcast in our virtual Vegas lounge. So please help me welcome Cousin Vito. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, good evening. How's it going?
This is great. You got your cocktail. I've got my Diet Coke. You guys out there in the audience, grab your popcorn, grab your drink, and let's just have a chat. So while I'm here, if you guys have questions for Cousin Vito, please put the question in the chat, and I'll try to get to him as fast as I can. If you would, please put a capital Q or something that'll help me easily identify that you have a question for Vito, and we'll bring it up. So Cousin Vito, let's start by telling the crew a little bit about who you are.
All right. Well, I guess I'm an East Coast gambler. I host a casino podcast, Cousin Vito's Casino Podcast. I thought long and hard about that name, I guess. And I love the casino. I loved wine and dining. I was inspired to start the casino podcast just because I grew up around casinos, Atlantic City, all that. And, that's my gambling stuff. I could go on and on about I love talking about myself. You really, really should cut me off, but I'm just a casino enthusiast and I'm here to talk about some gambling.
Well, that's something that we wanted to talk about, a casino enthusiast. So the audience for this show is primarily from craps, but we often play other games while we're in the casino. And I know that you have a pretty good background in a variety of different games and a variety of different interests. In fact, if I flip back over here, we talk about craps, Pai Gow poker, a casino enthusiast, fantasy football, Scotch taster. Anybody who's
all
familiar,
over my resume.
Yeah, there you go. That's your new LinkedIn profile.
Hey, if I got a job by it, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so why don't we start off? I know that it's been a little bit of a dry spell through these COVID days, but you recently spent a little time in the casino. Where did you end up going?
Yes, well, East Coast. I am in Southern Connecticut, so I often go to Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun. So I actually just got back from a nice couple day Mohegan, or actually Foxwoods getaway, and I stayed at the Great Cedar Hotel. Had a great time. Played some craps, some Pai Gow, some slots with the wives. Went out to some great meals. We actually had a couple bad meals that maybe I'll get into. But overall, just getting back into the thick of things. It's been a tough year for the casino enthusiast. I got to tell you, I'm sure you're in the same boat where it was like, now you're afraid to even go. And the funny thing now is you go and you're like, I can't touch anything. You think of all the things you touched before. You were touching everything. I'm touching the handles, touching the buttons. Give me this. I'm drinking that. Where now you're like, you got the mask. It's like you're, going into surgery, going down there to play some craps.
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate where I live in the Midwest. I'm surrounded by a lot of small casinos. I don't have the big resorts, and to be quite honest, I felt safer going into these small casinos than I did my local Walmart or grocery store. So I've been able to play off and on throughout this past year. So I've been lucky with that.
And honestly, to stick up for the local casinos, I felt the same way at Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods, where obviously we're talking Friday, Saturday night, people are running around. It's different. But when I would go on a Sunday morning or something, they had the hand sanitizing stations, and it was safer than a Walmart, because the Walmart, everyone's hanging over the cart. Who's moving 2 miles an hour? Who's sneezing in their arm? And they're putting this on the shelf. Where the casino, everyone was pretty much, on their way to where they were going. And honestly, it was all high risk people at the casino. They didn't seem to care when I went. They had the oxygen, the walkers. They were all there. They weren't scared. Meanwhile, I'm tiptoeing around. But it's, as far as I know, everyone's been having a good time up there.
So we've got a lot of people out in the audience already starting to put comments out there. My friend Mel from Craps Hawaii, he's in the lounge. Roll to win craps. Wants a bourbon. And then
I wish I had got some bourbon downstairs, actually, if I'm going to go grab it.
And then my favorite Slam Bright, he says, Cousin Vito looks like he's got guys who will drag me into the back room.
I do got the wrestling guys, actually. So technically I do got some muscly guys with ponytails that could probably drag someone back there if I had to.
Yeah. So what, before we get into the casino stuff, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? You said your background, you've been into wrestling, you're a casino enthusiast. Tell us just a little bit about the wrestling days.
Well, basically, I've always, not that I followed my dreams because I have a regular 9 to 5 job, but I always followed my dreams as a hobby for a very long time. So I've been, working backstage in professional wrestling. I'm from Connecticut, so we're kind of in, a wrestling hotbed with the WWE down in Stamford. So I've been, around the independent wrestling since like 2006, 2007. And it's one of those things where, I always just showed up to the shows, worked hard. I had a lot of talents, maybe a jack or a jack of all trades, but master of none. So there were times I would be the videographer for the show, print the DVDs and do the cover and the case art with Big Lou. Then I was ringing the bell. Then I'm doing backstage interviews. And then eventually, most recently, I was managing the King. I was a Baron, which I lived my dreams. I was able to get punched and pinned by Jerry the King Lawler. I got whacked by Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I got punched by David Arquette. I got Mick Foley, the Mankind. He put the mandible claw in my mouth. So at the age I'm at, having a regular job and going to college and a wife and a kid, I've actually been able to live a lot of my dreams. So the wrestling's been good. It's been inspiring. It helped inspire me to do this because, I'm not afraid of being in front of people.
Well, that's really amazing. You've got some awesome hobbies and that have opened up some really big doors for you. And that's a great story. All right.
And honestly, I'm grateful for it every day. The opportunities, it's also the people along the way that, it's almost like the yellow brick roads. You help somebody and you do something nice and then they help you. So, I see somebody's a Mohegan fan. I agree. I love that Tuscany waterfall. I miss the Tuscany waterfall. So one thing Foxwoods doesn't have is that nice little Tuscany waterfall area with the shops. You could have a cocktail. You could have the little hustle and bustle behind you. So one bad design feature of Foxwoods.
I'm going to have to get up there. I've never been. I don't think I've ever played any casinos further east than Michigan.
So you could do a casino pilgrimage. You could get off the plane in Philadelphia, hit Atlantic City, drive up. You got Mohegan, Foxwoods. You could hit MGM Springfield, and then end it in Boston Harbor, and then take the plane from Boston back home. Rent the car. We was planning the trip.
The thing is, I don't have the.
I always want to be a travel agent.
I hear the table minimums, all of the minimums, period, up there in the Northeast are unreal. What did you experience when you were at Mohegan?
You know what? It depends. Sometimes you'll get lucky and catch a $5 craps table. Lately with COVID, because up here we've gone, at least Foxwoods. I haven't been to Mohegan. I think they got the same thing, but we got like the plexiglass going on. So there's less people at the table. So naturally we're going to have higher limits. So like Pie Gow, usually we were seating 6. There was 4 at the Pie Gow. Craps, I think it was 4 people aside, which normally it's like what are you cramming 100 people aside. So generally $10. There was $10 limits on Friday when I was there. They might have went up to 15 at prime time. I wasn't out on the, by the craps table at that point, but they're not terrible, but you're not walking in and getting a $5 craps table no matter what anymore. Where at one point, you could always find that $5 somewhere.
Yeah. So especially is it the
Foxwoods.
Same kind of table limits for blackjack and Pie Gow and all the other roulette?
Pretty close. You're looking at generally a 10, 15. They do run promotions where they have $5 blackjack. I forget if it's Foxwoods or Mohegan, but they'll run special like $5 Fridays where they do the $5 blackjack all night or whatever. But yeah, generally, $10, $5, it's a miracle. $10, you're pretty lucky. And then, 15 is highly possible if it's like a prime time or depending on what's going on. Because even Pie Gow, I can't speak to Mohegan. I know from Robin's experience from Anytime Gambling, you're always at about a $25 table now, where before you'd sometimes catch a 15. And Foxwoods was the same. This past weekend, it was 25. And then I think at one point there was only $50 tables. So it's definitely a little hair raising. It could be a hair raising experience. That's for sure. It's not like going downtown Vegas.
So what was it like playing with the plexiglass?
You know what? Craps table, it made it a lot less fun because the camaraderie of, everyone talking and having a good time was gone. And talking to the dealers is harder because you not only do you have the plexiglass, you got the mask. So you're like, hey, the hard 4. And then it's like you're throwing the chips underneath the thing. So craps, it's a downgrade unless, if you're a germaphobe anyway. And honestly, it's nice to not have people creeping up behind you, like trying to get in. So there's some sort of advantage to that, but At Pai Gow, I enjoyed it, to be honest with you. The no smoking at the Pai Gow was nice because I don't loathe the cigarette smoke, but it was actually nice not to have it. I didn't really realize how much I didn't enjoy it sometimes, but the Pai Gow is nice because you got four at the table, and I say it on my show sometimes. It's like you're front row at the hockey game, so you're right up there against the glass.
Yeah.
You're waiting. Sometimes I'll do the tap on the glass. I'll be like Pai Gow, and bang on the glass. The dealers they seem to enjoy it. I don't try to, I don't dirty the glass up too much, but we do a little glass tap sometimes. So we try to make the best of it. Pai Gow, not a big deal unless there's not enough seats. But craps was a big downgrade. It was very sad, actually, to be honest with you.
Was there a long waits to get onto the tables?
There can be at prime time, but honestly, when I was there, not really. I was able to get on the craps tables pretty easily, even with the plexiglass and less people aside. And even Pai Gow, they had enough tables open to the point where I went up to dinner. I went down. What was it? A Friday night at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. And I went right into the Pai Gow room. There was two tables open, and I sat at one. There was two seats open. So, you know what? It might just be there's not a lot of people back on the Friday because the floor was packed. Like the regular floor, I'm sure it was a wait to get on the craps table on a Friday night. But I was just, tucked away like a little hermit at the Pai Gow table. So, not really a high action area. But there can be a wait.
Let's go over to the comments and questions real quick. We've got East Coast Craps out there asking, do you play in Atlantic City? And if so, where's your favorite craps table?
I do play in Atlantic City. I'm not an Atlantic City expert. If you really want to know the best craps table, I would recommend there's a group on Facebook. I think it's Everything's AC Casino group. There's a guy that Joe that runs it and his wife, and they have their finger on the pulse of Atlantic City. But for me, I would have to say, it's tough. It's because it's all about who you're with, honestly. Like I'm trying to think of my favorite times, and it's like nobody's going to say the Bally's craps tables in Atlantic City are their favorite tables, but I've had some great $5 crafts nights with wild people at those Bally's tables right by the bus station. But overall, if I'm bringing my family down, I the wife and the kid, we probably Ocean Resort's my favorite, off the beaten path where it's like, when I'm not going wild, I like it there. But I don't know. I don't want to say the Bally's. I'm sure people will laugh at me, but I've had a lot of great times at the Bally's and Caesar's crafts tables down in the Strip.
Yeah, it's been my experience that some people like different places for different reasons. Some might want a hard table, somebody might want a bouncy table. There's all sorts of different reasons. But one of the questions, I don't think I've seen it yet, but when you play craps, are you a dice setter or you just throw the dice?
I mean, I wouldn't call myself a dice setter. I will sometimes put it depends on my mood. My name starts with a V, so sometimes I'll put do I have the dice here? So the name starts with the V, so sometimes I'll put the V up. If I'm in the V's up mood. My grandfather loved the casino. Was born on October 10th, so if I'm feeling inspired for him, I'll throw up the 10. I'll do the hard 10 throw, and then that's as far as setting as I go. So it's not setting in the sense that I think I'm doing anything. It's more setting in the sense that I got a lucky rabbit's foot in my pocket, and might as well bust it out. What the hell? Why not?
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Let's see here. Let's go ahead. We've got another question out here or comment. Magic Aces. Some people think professional wrestling is fake. So what do you have to say about that?
I mean, I can see why they would think that and say that. Let's put it that way. I mean, the cat's pretty much out of the bag. It is wrestling's entertainment. And I mean, one thing I will say, though, is, you know what? Like we were talking about, I was doing the wrestling for years and years. I eventually went down to the Paul Roma wrestling school, and I was like, maybe I'll be a wrestler. Maybe I'll do this. And it's fake in the sense that, oh, yeah, maybe you know who's going to win or you know what you're going to do in the ring. But I've seen a lot of guys that I know that are skilled, trained, they're in great shape, and they've gotten beat up, battered, bruised. Like one of my buddies just had back surgery. Another one is neck. It's like, these guys really, even the guys that don't make it, they leave a lot on the table because they get beat up bad in there. It's fake in the sense like, getting hit, playing football's fake where they're not trying to kill each other really, but you get creamed a few times and your brain scrambled, you start saying, "What am I doing this for?"
Yeah.
But luckily, I've been unscathed. Only a few punches to the mouth. That's it.
All right,
Just
Slambright out
regular.
there is asking a question. Do you like what they're doing at the AEW? And I don't know what
The
AEW
All Elite
is.
Wrestling. Oh, this has turned into the wrestling chat. You know what? Honestly, I do like what they're doing in AEW, and I can see both sides because I also, whoever's asking that, I listened to watch some of the Jim Cornette reviews, and he hates the AEW guys. But you know what? To me, it's a place for people to work. I know a lot of guys that are there, like for instance, one of their guys, Darby Allin. I worked the program with him and the King. I hit him, Darby Allin, with the cane. Darby is a great untapped talent that might not have got the chance in the WWE. And if he got a chance, he wouldn't have been able to be himself because that Darby Allin you see on All Elite, that's him, the skateboard guy. He's a cool dude and is fearless. The matches I did with Darby, they're great. I love AEW, honestly. I don't watch wrestling regularly, but what I see, I think it's pretty cool. Something different.
Louie out there, he's got connections. He works with a guy. His dad is a bean counter at Mohegan. So Lou's our inside man.
Oh, very nice. I mean, I guess I could use the bean counter at Mohegan. I need the whoever puts my rating when I go to the table games. So that's the guy I need a connection with because when I go to Mohegan, that guy doesn't like me for some reason.
Yeah. And then wager me this out there. He's saying Pai Gow equals get hammered gambling.
I could see that because you just sit and relax and let the drinks come. And like crap, sometimes you order the drink and you're like, hopefully my drink comes here before all my chips are gone. Where Pai Gow, it's like, I wonder if I'll have 10 drinks before the next hand. It's been all pushes tonight. So that is true. Not the Pai Gow, you do get your money's worth on the complimentary cocktails. So if you're a bargain hunter, maybe that puts it over the edge, the Pai Gow.
So before the show, we were talking a little bit about your trip and how you played Pai Gow for up to 10 hours. And I was asking about the comps. Why don't you tell the crowd a little bit about your comp experience with Pai Gow?
Well, and this is an unscientific survey I did. So I'm sure somebody will say, "Well, that's not how they add it up. That's not how it's done." But so from my experience, just as a recreational gambler, I go play and my main games, and we didn't really get into this yet, so I'll regurgitate it if no one's heard it. But so I'll go with my wife. We play some slots together. My mother likes the slots. We'll buy in together, play together. So I played way too many hours of slots in my life. And I see what I get comped in the slots for what I put in, how long I play for. And, it's all right. I'm never like, oh, I'm never going to be a high roller playing the slots the way I do. And then with craps, the same thing. You buy in, we're not going to talk exact numbers, but let's just say most people's bankroll the craps table, $5-10 table. You're looking at $200 or $300 you buy in with, maybe less, maybe, a few hundred more. But even at that rate, you'll play on the table. If you last 2 or 3 hours, that's a really good session. If you didn't leave already because you got up, because that's kind of, to play, not to be good at craps, but most of my great craps runs were when you know when to leave. That's one of the most important parts of the craps table or any gambling experience. Whereas Pai Gow, for that same initial buy-in, if you're getting pushes and there's people taking their time and you go to the bathroom, there's a million reasons why you could find a way to make that bet last longer at that Pai Gow table. So for me, I've had a great experience with the Pai Gow with the comps just because the limits are generally higher. So at a $5 craps table, I don't know what the pit boss is putting in or the boxman when he's punching it in, but they're not counting my odds bet. So even though I'm betting a $5 pass line and my $25 odds, they don't care about my odds. To me, that's money on the table. But if I'm at a Pai Gow table and I'm doing a $25 bet, they're counting that whole $25 bet no matter what. So I've had actually success, if you want to say tier credit wise, just hunkering down and playing Pai Gow. And you get to talk to the dealers, the pit bosses, the waiters. It's more, it's more of a bougie cocktail-y experience with a craps table. That's, you're like, that's a day at the races at the craps table. In a split of an instant, everything changes for everybody. Where Pai Gow, the grief is spread out amongst all of us at different times.
Yeah. So is Pai Gow your go-to game or is craps your go-to game? When you go to the casino, what are you going there for?
You know, this is like an existential question for me these days because I've had, since I started the podcast however many 4 or 5 years ago, I've gotten married. I have a baby now. It's like it's changed over the years where, before I go to have cocktails, have some drinks with, a bunch of the guys, I'll go. Craps are is always 100%. I'm going to play at least a crap session or two. If they go bad, maybe I don't go back. I'm usually with the wife or my mother who they both. I'm usually going with one of them. If I am, I'm going to probably play a little bit of slots. But Pai Gow, if the tables are open, I do like some Pai Gow. But it's a time. It's for the gambling action. It's a time. Inclusive game where you're going to say I'm going to be here for a while. Where craps you go play for a half hour, feel like you gambled and get out of there. Where Pai Gow, you're not going to sit for a half hour or you'll be like, I got 3 hands in. You know what I mean? You're not going to, it depends on your experience, really. I mean, it's the many moods when I'm at the casino. If you want the peaceful, I'll have a cappuccino, I go play the Pai Gow. If I want that scotch on the rocks, maybe I'll do the scotch at the rocks at the Pai Gow table. But you know what I'm saying? It's really the
So you're saying you choose your game based on the drink that you want.
Well, I did end up saying that, but that's not the direction I was going. It's more about, it's the situation where, if I want that Saturday Night Live style action, I go to the craps table and have some fun. Where Pai Gow is that reserved. If I want to go down, I just ate, maybe I'll go down for a few hours, sit at the Pai Gow, go to the library, no smoking now, nice and easy chats. But that's how I do it up. And then some nights I do it all. There's times I'm running around, I'll play roulette. It depends on the mood. I'm a maniac out there. I'm like a wild man. But strict bankroll limits. That's how you go out there. You be a wild man, but you got your loss limit. You have the money you came with, and you can't do worse than that. You're in for.
So you say that in your profile that you're a casino enthusiast. What about blackjack and roulette? Do you ever dabble on those table games?
I don't want to say I love roulette, but roulette was kind of like, I don't want to call it the gateway drug, but roulette I was into because when I was a child, I grew up. I grew up a poor boy, but I didn't go on vacations. I didn't do any of that as a family vacation. My only vacations I went to were Atlantic City, and my grandfather would take the family because he loved the casinos, and he loved roulette. And whether there's any validity to it or not, he was a big fan of clocking the dealer at roulette, which is like you're watching the velocity they're spinning, where the ball's going. You're doing all these looking in your head and you're trying to bet on a wedge of the wheel. So he always loved doing that. He was my grandfather. We bought him. He had the PlayStation. He played Caesar's Palace for hours. He had his own roulette wheel and he would spin it and he would this is before the internet. So this is what you did back in the day, but he had a roulette wheel. He would spin it himself over and over and track all the different numbers. What the magic formulas he was doing, I don't know, but he was, he's a carpenter. He was good at math. He was a builder. So he really enjoyed the roulette. So I love roulette. Blackjack I will play, but usually I'm with somebody. So it's more of a social type of thing. I don't really go. I don't go seek it out by myself usually, but I'll play it all. Really. I don't have anything. If there's somebody who could talk me into it, I'll do it.
Real quick, I just wanted to say, Sam, thank you very much for the super chat. Really do appreciate it. It does help quite a bit. So thank you very much.
The super chat. Very cool. Look at that.
So we've talked a little bit about Pai Gow. We've talked a little bit about some of the other games you play and casino enthusiast. So you're not the kind of person, or at least I'm assuming you're not the kind of person who goes in for the quick win and quick out. You go for a good time. You're like a date night gambler.
I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. No, I mean, kind of, because for me, honestly, as a casino enthusiast, what really drew me to it was, as I was saying, I roulette was kind of my gateway casino drug there where I go, I bring whatever money I had, play some roulette. So really what got me into going as a college student where I started playing when I didn't have a lot of expendable income. I'd save up and go with, a couple $100 or whatever, go every other month, just for something to do. If, felt like a connection with my grandfather, he liked the roulette, so I go with my cousin and I started getting free rooms. So me as somebody who, I used to, go to concerts, you go to the wrestling shows, you're getting hotel rooms. Hotel rooms can cost you could stay in a crappy hotel room that'll cost you $150 a night, $200 a night if you're on the road somewhere. I can't tell you, I'm in Pittsburgh at the Marriott, that feels good. And then you go down the street, I'm in another town and you're like, what dump are we in tonight? This is terrible. But to go to a casino, And then I'm playing roulette, having a good time, having free cocktails at the time where, to go to the bar and spend $50 on the night was something I didn't want to do. And then on top of it, I'm getting a comp room. That's what really inspired me to get into, I don't want to say to be a casino enthusiast, but between that and the fine dining and the free rooms, it was like, maybe I could take my girl out to Rhode Island, go to Providence, go to Newport or something, and, have to buy the hotel room, buy her dinner. What are we going to do? Get show tickets. You go to Manhattan. I had Knicks season tickets. Me and my cousin Mikey, we go to the casino. We look at each other and be like, at least when we go to the casino, we might come back with the same amount of money or more. You do something else. You're always losing money. So, once my whole thing was always about the free rooms. I love having to go somewhere, be able to have cocktails, not drive. So I could probably count on the number of times on one hand that I've driven out to the casino and had cocktails and was like, all right, I'm going home tonight. Usually I'm never doing that because it's just not, I like to be able to drink as much as I want, not have to cut myself off. It sounds crazy, but I'd rather not even cut myself off. I just love the rooms. So that inspired me to get more into the casino gambling. And then I tried more games. And then, eventually you fall in love with all the games. It's as sad as it might sound.
And that's the casino enthusiast. You use your player's card, you get the free comps or the free rooms. It allows you to go a little bit more often, enjoy yourself a little bit more, and you just have a good time. I think a lot of the times, sometimes the crowds that I hang out with were a little too serious. And we go in with an objective. I want to win 200 or I want to win 500, or in my case, I want to win $50, and we're done. We're ready to get out of there. But it sounds like you really enjoy spending time in the casinos.
Oh, well, I will do. And honestly, not to say that getting off the table is a bad thing, but some of the best crap games that I missed were games that I came in with that strategy. I went, I don't know if you know the 360 Vegas podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They had a Vegas vacation down at the D. And we all got on the craps table. It was me, you can bet on that was there. All sorts of our pals were down there. We knew almost the whole table. And I must have went up like $200-300 quick. And for me, I was out there with Mikey. It was a long trip. I was like, you know what? Let's take our wins. We'll go for a walk on Fremont Street, come back. And I'm telling you, I missed one of the greatest crap runs I ever seen. There's pictures online. You could see the dust rings where there was no nickels on the table, and the dust rings where they were almost out of $25 chips on the table. And some of my biggest regrets were getting off craps tables, to be honest with you. But I say it depends. If I'm on a long trip, sometimes I'll do that and say, I'm going to go down for a session. I'm going to go up this much or down this much, and I'm going to get out of here. It really, it depends. There's all different plans of attack. It depends on the trip. So like, I could probably hang with you guys, go in, say, all right, we'll do a couple strict hours, get up this much, we get out of here. I could dig that on my Sunday morning trip, but on my Friday night trip, might be a little different.
So, my wife is out there watching. She says, I like your background. So all the lights.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on back there.
I got a lot of stuff. I got some old wrestling figures here. I got some sports cards I've been wasting, while the casinos were closed. I've been doing these. That's a signed Charles Tillman. He's a Bears. I'm a Chicago Bears fan for whatever reason from the East Coast. I like all New York teams, but the Bears, so go figure. I was a Dick Butkus guy growing up in Walter Payton. Let's see what else I got. So, these are some real pie gout tiles. I think I've got to read the description again. I think these are from the Mandalay Bay, though. Retired from Mandalay Bay pie gout tiles. Got some books. And actually, these are all different pictures of my favorite places. We got the Atlantic City line, a little beach line there. We got some cocktails, scratch off ticket. Not that I do a lot of the scratchies anymore, but I have had some scratchy fun, roulette. So yeah, I tried to make it a nice, peaceful, fun place to hang out and do the podcast and stuff. So I'm happy that somebody's enjoying it because I did put a little effort in. I did put a little effort into this. Why, thank you.
Looks great. So let's talk a little bit about Gamblepalooza. We have a community, a craps community called the Craps Nation. And there are several people planning a trip, a group trip to Atlantic City in May, and another group that's planning a trip in June. Now, you have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that you were the organizer of Gamblepalooza?
Yes. Yeah. Gamblepalooza. Yeah. That was you know how you're doing this show, and you have people that appreciate what you do, and you have to hang out and have a good time with them. So that's really what it was. Is the Gamblepalooza, basically it was, all us crazy people run wild, but it was gambling, dining, and, whining and dining, I guess you'd say. So we would do, food events where we meet up, have dinner. We do dinner reservations. We do the, slot pull each time, try to get a private craps table. And, it wasn't just me alone. I had other people that, played at different casinos that would have hosts maybe that would help us get the private table or get us so we could videotape the slot pull and stuff. But really it was just, I guess it was divide and conquer where we'd all go together and hang out. And, you get a group rate for the room and you get a host that says, you know what? Let's see if you bring me action, buddy. And luckily, a lot of the people that listen to the gambling shows, they would sign on to use the host and put up a lot of action. So as an event, it worked pretty well. It's a lot of legwork, but I wish COVID didn't happen. We were having one planned. We had one that was going to happen in Biloxi. And then I also had the baby coming in April. So that was going to postpone it. So we didn't do the Biloxi one, but that was the original plan, was Biloxi in what year was COVID? 2020. So yeah. But I haven't been down there yet, so hopefully one of these days.
Well, you brought up you can bet on that, and I know that that's a destination those guys want to go to. They haven't been down to Biloxi either.
Yeah, well, we were all signed up to go for Gamblepalooza. I forget who else was going down. Tim from the Better Life, Vegas Fanboy. We had a whole gaggle of people that were coming down for the Biloxi event, but COVID scared us all away. But and honestly, you listen to You Can Bet on That. There is nothing more fun than being at the craps table with Mark and Dr. Mike. I've had some blast at the table with those two, especially Dr. Mike. I got to tell you, we have some laughs and some fun, and he's always, it's like everything at the craps table. When things are going good, though, we're having a lot of fun.
Real quick, just a shout out to Low Roller Craps again. Thank you, sir, for the super chat. Always appreciated. Thank you so much.
Good. Look at all these super chats. That's beautiful. I got somebody signed onto my Patreon. I got to email the guy and say, I'm sorry, I haven't been putting up any content lately. I feel bad for you signing up. I got to close the thing. So the super, they're very much appreciated. Anyone who believes in you. I know the feeling.
So let's talk about your podcast. Where's it been and where's it going?
Oh, jeez. Where's it been? Basically, I'm an eclectic, I have eclectic hobbies. So I did get into the sports card thing and I started a dynasty football podcast. I got into the dynasty football, which is a little bit of a gambling too, because you do buy into the leagues. It's kind of like an advantage gambling where you do your research, you acquire the guys you think are going to be successful due to their situation, and you hopefully have a positive return on your money for the season for your different leagues. So I've been doing that. I mean, the podcast, I'm starting to get back into it now that I'm going back to the casino again. I'm going to be recording with Robin this week, actually, for my Foxwoods Trip Report. I'm going to have the wife on the show. We're going to talk about our dining experiences. And then I have a couple of interviews lined up. I just got to, iron the details out. We'll do a little, this isn't a spoiler alert, I guess, but I'm looking to get a blackjack card counter from the East Coast. He's going to talk about some of the stuff he's done and, how things changed over COVID for him. And I have a couple other little things I've been working on, people I've been nagging. So, I have a way to get the guests sometimes. I have had some guests that I was like, wow, I can't believe we're going to be doing this here. So like Daniel Legrand, Fossil Man, there've been some cool guys over the years. And I don't know, my recent one with Craig Carton, you're not from New York, but he's a New York sports guy. So he was one of my inspirations to even getting to do this. So it was kind of a fun one too.
Talking about inspirations, I've been listening to your podcast for a couple of years, longer than I've had this YouTube channel. And I always had it in the back of my head that I enjoyed listening to the guests you bring on. And so I wanted to do something very similar to that. So that's really the birth of this show, is loosely based on your own podcast. And I got to say, you have the voice. Do you have professional training for broadcasting?
No, I have no professional training. I should have. If I almost went into communications in college, and I had a college radio show with Big Lou, and then we, successful by college radio show standards. But I was, not that I was stupid. I went into political science and I got a political science degree. But, I was one of those people that I followed what I thought was the right thing to do. And I didn't really follow, what my heart wanted me to do. So if that makes sense. Yeah. But finally, through the wrestling and through all this, I've been able to use what I really like to do. Oh, aloha. I've been able to use what I like to do, to have some fun with it. So no voice training, but I thank you for the comments on the voice. They do say I have a voice for radio, and I'm hopefully not a face for radio too. But I'm getting.
Well, you definitely have the timing, the cadence. You have a very professional sounding show, and I really do enjoy it. So, if people haven't heard your podcast, where can they find it?
Um, Basically, if you listen to podcasts, go in the app and just type in Cousin Vito. You usually pop up because it's fun. Wow, because before you do, I mean, you started this show, so you're going to do the show. You're like, all right, what do I name it? What do I do? What am I? You have all these things you want to check, and you want everything to be perfect before you do the show. And when I was trying to come up with the name, that was kind of like I was like, you know what? Let me just name it after myself, and then when people search it, they'll find it easy because there wasn't any Cousin Vitos in the podcast directory. And then I went to Gmail and I was like, oh, Cousin Vito's open. So it's my name anyway. And I have a lot of cousins. So
Yeah,
that's how creative I was. So it's easy to find me. Just type in Cousin Vito. And I'm like the only one on the internet that does anything with gambling. So.
All right. So let's talk. You talked a little bit about your trading cards. What about fantasy football? Are you still, I don't know, are you still really into it? And the reason I asked that is that we have Louie out there saying, put your money on the Bucks. Their whole team's coming back.
Well, the Bucks for the Super Bowl probably wouldn't be a bad bet. Even that would have been a better bet last year. But for the football wise now, there's fantasy football, which is what you're probably used to, where you draft your team every year. You have a good time with all your buddies and you get out of there. Where I've been doing the dynasty football, which is you draft your team and you keep them forever. And the only thing you draft rookies every year, and that's it. That just the rookies, like the real pros do. And the only way to acquire players really is either the waivers, but your teams are 30 people deep, or by trade. So with dynasty football, the advantage is you watch a little bit of film on the rookies. You'll know coaching situations. You're saying there's a gambling aspect to it, like fantasy football. But ideally, if you're good in a dynasty league, you could create a team that could win years in a row or be in the playoffs 10 years in a row because your team's so good and you're that good of a general manager of your team. So it's like a long play. It's, it was a good COVID hobby, I guess. It helped me get through COVID. Let's knock my microphone.
These live shows, you never know what's going to happen, right?
I should have brought a second seltzer up here with me. This is my main problem. I got one over there. I can reach it if I want it.
There you go. And you know what? So that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Those are the questions that I had for you for this show. Any words of wisdom for the crews that are going out to Atlantic City here in May?
Well, do they have their hotel booked yet? Do you know where everyone's staying, or are you staying all over?
Yeah, they're staying all over. They've got some different hosts that they're working with. But I don't know, transportation. How close are the casinos?
I mean, it's well, if you're so it basically you got all the boardwalk casinos. They're a walk away, but it depends where if you're in there's a main area, where you got Bally, Caesars is a casino cluster, but like the Ocean Resort, that's far at the other end of the boardwalk. So that's a pretty, you could walk it. I walk it every time I go. I don't take a cab, but it gets to a point where it's like, you want to know where you're going. You're not going to be wandering back and forth like the Vegas Strip where you're popping in Harrah's. You're going to, go walk down to the Link quick, go get a bite over here. Atlantic City, it could be a long walk. If you're at the Borgata or Harrah's in Atlantic City or Golden Nugget, you're going to be in the marina area. So you're not going to be able to walk to the boardwalk. You take the Jitney shuttle, which, that itself is an exciting ride sometimes. So, I mean, basically it's all about who you're with. That's really the moral of the story in Atlantic City is you go for the walk down the boardwalk, you have a cocktail, and then you go find a nice craps table. And I've had fun at every casino. I'm easy. That's the tough thing is some people are picky and they do reviews and they get, I can't believe this or that. I'll staying at Caesars. Caesars is fun. That's a nice central one. And Caesars, really, I generally stay at the Caesars because you can get the diamond status. And once you have diamond, you don't have resort fees. You don't have parking fees. So it's like for me, if I'm driving down from Connecticut, I could get a room at Caesars, free parking, no resort fees. It's actually a free room. You stay for 2 or 3 nights, and I think it's like a $5. I forget what it is. There's some sort of fee, for Atlantic City, but it's an actual free room. So Caesars is fun. I've had great times at. I actually, after on Gamepalooza, it was the last day of Gamepalooza. It was early in the morning. Dr. Mike, Mark, myself, my wife, and a couple other people. We were at the craps table. And we had such a fun time at the Caesars craps tables on I forget what morning it was, but it was early morning because they were heading out. I think they catch a flight down in Philadelphia or something. But Caesars, 2 thumbs up. They have a Gordon Ramsay there at pub or something. I had a nice sandwich there too. But
Nice.
I'm like a garbage disposal. I enjoy it all.
So one of the thing that I would like to leave with is you have a tagline that you always end your show with, and I put it there in the description: "Make luck happen." How did you come up with that? Where did that come from?
I don't know. Honestly, it was just something I would say on the casino trips anyway. My cousin Mike, be like, "Let's make luck happen, baby." Something stupid.
Yeah.
And then as part of what I was saying, when you're coming up with the podcast, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? That was one of the things where I was like, well, I want to have some sort of outro that I do every show that kind of like winds the show down. So I have a way to end it. And that was, I just thought that was a great way to end it. And actually, I own MakeLuckHappen.com. I've been trying to come up with a good use for it. So if anyone has any ideas out there, me and Big Lou are putting together some gambling T-shirts. We're gonna have some, I got some Pai Gow designs and different fun stuff we're gonna be putting out there. But yeah, make luck happen. I mean, people have been using it more for actually preparing and doing stuff other than gambling in their life, but. For me, it was knowing the rules and trying to cut the house edge down, as much as possible with, having a little fun in there too, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
but I gotta ask you, can I ask you a question quick? You like craps.
Yeah.
When you go to the craps table, what's your strategy here? Are you're pass line and full odds, or are you doing the 3-point molly? What's a craps game with you going to be like? If we play together?
I'm a pretty much inside better with recently don't come. Don't come with the inside 22 inside. Take my bets down after 2 or 3 rolls, not 2 or 3 hits, 2 or 3 rolls, and wait for the don't class to resolve. And that's done pretty well for me.
All right, so that's an interesting strategy. So you have nothing on the pass, or you put just a minimum on the pass or whatever.
Nope, I don't have anything on the pass unless I'm the shooter.
No pass. Yeah. So the point set. So let's say the point's an 8 or something. You're taking the inside, and then you're putting one on the don't come, and then you're just letting it. And then 2 or 3 rolls, it's God's will. Whatever happens.
Well, no. So I start out with a don't pass, and I wait for that point to be established, and then let's say it's that 8. So I've got the $8 don't pass, and I also put 22 inside, including the 8. And I leave it, so it's like 2 separate bets. I don't. It's not that I'm edging.
Okay, so
it's 2 separate.
Yeah. It's 2 totally different. You could still. Okay, I see. All right, so you're not. You got your inside no matter what's coming out. You got your inside going down. So that's easier for the dealers too, because they're always like, all right, inside for this guy.
And then I turn my bets off after and it'll vary. If the table is really choppy, really cold, I may only go 3 rolls, not 3 hits, but 3 to 5 rolls usually. Turn those bets off and save that $22 for the next roll. Or 44 if it's a $10 table, whatever it might be, and then just wait and see if that 7 comes and win another $5 or $10 for that don't pass.
So you got the discipline. I used to play with the discipline. Now I'm Mr. Two-way, flinging the 2-ways out there, give another one to the dealer. I'm like a wild man these days. I'm doing the 4-point molly. We'll see. Craps have been tough. I don't know about you. The tables have been tough to me. I wish I had some great stories. All my stories are old ones.
We there's a term that we like to use, is chip porn. I don't have any chip porn. I'm a low roller.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm a low roller, and I usually have a goal in mind. I hit that goal, and I'm done, and I'm okay with that. So I can have fun, just being in that atmosphere without playing a large amount of money.
Yeah, well, that's the key. That's the thing people don't understand about the casino a little bit. The casino kind of gets a bad rap from non-gamblers because a lot of people look at it as, oh, he's going to the casino, where it's like, as long as you know what you're doing, yeah, I've gone with friends that will go with $200 and then in 2 minutes it's gone. They went to a blackjack table and lost it all. But if you go with a plan, you can go play. Maybe you lose a little, maybe you make a little, have a drink, you have a dinner with some friends, and who knows, maybe you split a free room with somebody and you're having, it's like, I love it. I guess, this is actually, maybe I'll book a trip right now that I'm getting excited. I was checking on my Atlantic City rooms. They still like me in Atlantic City. So you may see me down there this summer. I'm making a plan. I want to bring the baby down. We'll go down to the beach, and then he could watch me. Like I watched my grandfather. He was at the roulette table. I saw him while I was in the shops. We could do the same experience for him, take a full circle.
Yeah. My friend Slam Bright out there, he's saying he's going to make a wild better out of me.
I mean, it's not that hard. Well, you just got to ease it into it. I mean, but you're almost there. You're betting the inside. So I mean, really, once so if you, let's say you bet the inside, right? Let's say, all right, all of a sudden 6, 5. Are you going to take them all down, or are you going to say, let's really? You have the discipline that you never say, let me leave them out there a couple more.
Well, not lately. But
lately, yeah, I can sympathize with lately.
Everybody is on a journey. Everybody starts. I've done the come bet with odds. I've done the 3-point molly. I've done the all the way across. I've done the iron cross. I've done all of these different strategies. But what I found best, what works best for me, is a quick regress. If I had the bankroll. And I might do like an 88 inside and regress to 22, and I would leave it up, maybe. But right now, what's working for me is this 22 inside and a don't pass. Or if I'm playing bubble craps, I might go.
I need a new strategy. I might need to talk to you after the show here and get a real strategy, because I'm doing the wing and the prayer. We're just going to wing. I don't go in with any strategy, to be honest with you. Whatever the flavor is, if it seems like the dealers are listening to me, I'll bet more. If I'm having trouble getting my bets out there, or they're screwing it up because of the plexiglass now, then I might play a little later.
That's another point. I have never played with plexiglass. The Oklahoma casinos that I play at don't have it. So,
well, hopefully they get rid of it, because it's even the throwing of the dice. You're going under the glass. I usually do I try to do a nice Michael Jordan. We get the high arc. Everyone gets the ooh and ah, the dice in the air, and then now it's like you're under the glass, and you're like, oh, you're trying to get it over. And actually, I was impressive. I was able to still throw the dice off the table twice in a row with the plexiglass.
With the plexiglass, that's crazy.
Bounced off the table and bounced under the little slot. You stick your arm in 2 times. Even the dealers were like, well, didn't help my roll at all, but they were like same die, and I was like, what's the difference at this point? Just give me whatever you got, whatever speeds this disaster up.
Yeah. Well, do you ever get any heat for throwing them too high?
I only a couple times I have, and I've tried to pare it down a little bit. I was getting a little cocky, I guess, with the arc on it, but for the most part, not really. Especially if I ease into the arc where I'm hitting it good. They're not going off the table. If you just show up and I'm arcing them, they'll be like, "Who's this clown?" But only a couple times they said, "Hey," but they can get you for everything. I like when I do the stupid VI, the little VI show you. There have been times I've been at the casino and they'll be like, "You can't set the dice," and they'll be getting on me for that. And it's like, buddy, if you think this is some scientific algorithm I got going on here with these things, they really hired a pit bull for this or this craps table, because I'm just making the first letter of my name here. So, yeah, I've been slapped on the wrist a few times, but nothing too bad. I'm usually non-confrontational, so.
We actually do have a question coming in from Slam Bright. Have you ever played on the electronic table with dice, no chips, the roll to win?
I've not played on the roll to win where it's all electronic. I played on the one with the big dice ball in the middle, with the whatever those, the bubble craps. Yeah, I played on those. I haven't played on those other ones. I mean, to me, I could see the fun in it, to sit back. It almost to me, I could see it like a pie gow where you're sitting back, playing some low limits, relaxing, taking your time. But I don't know if I could really, can it be as fun as when without having the real dice and not, I don't know. Maybe I'm old fashioned where it's like, I need the extra stimulation of all the sights and sounds, but it feels like you're losing money on a video game. That's not, to me.
Some of the sites, you do actually throw real dice. in Florida, they're virtual dice. I think you flip the
I
dice
think I've
out.
seen the pictures of the tables you're talking about where it's just the layout and everyone like takes turns. Do you get to go to do the dice or whatever?
Well, you have a bubble craps type of interface. I think there's 8 stations, I believe, around the table, and you have your little. You have to make your bets, and you only have 15 to 30 seconds, depending on the casino that you're at. I've heard of one casino that has a 15
Which
second
can be
timer on it.
tough.
Yeah, yeah, it
There
can.
have been times where I've been like, oh my God, biting my nails trying to get what I'm trying to
Yeah,
get in, and then you're trying to add odds to something, and it's like, how do I put too much on? I got to move it over. Like, especially when you go to put like, I forget where I was playing it. I don't even know if it was at Mohegan. It might have been in Atlantic City or Vegas. But I was trying to put the place bet on, but I was doing like a buy bet, like you had to push the right part of the number to get the right bet. So I was doing all sorts of bets. I was like, I don't know. It's like when you do the roulette and you're like, I guess I'm splitting the number because my finger missed.
yeah.
So yeah, they seem. I mean, they seem fun, but it's just like the plexiglass. I just like that dice and the high five, the camaraderie. I feel like at the craps table is really the draw for me. The social butterfly aspect.
Yeah, and I've played at these electronic crap tables, these roll to wins, 4 or 5 times now, and you don't have the same camaraderie. You don't have a full crew. There's only one person, one crew member there. So it's the casinos like it. It's a lot less expensive for them to staff one person than it is a full crew. But the game's different. It's kind of like you're
And
playing bubble
honestly,
craps.
that's probably part of why the limits go up on the regular craps tables is because they could supplement. They figure they're supplementing the low rollers on the electronic tables, and then you open up. I don't have the numbers, but I'm sure a $25 minimum craps table is raking in a lot more than a $5 craps table. If they're both full, if you can get them
Yeah.
both full. But
Yep, for sure.
that's the sad part. I don't want to see craps disappear. I could live with other things disappearing from my casino life, but if regular craps left, that would be a real sad day.
Well, hopefully all of this COVID stuff is winding down, and we are going to start to see some of those tables uh,
Oh yeah.
go back
Well,
to.
they'll be ready to rip it off at Mohi. I'm sure they're ready to rip it off at the casinos up here because, even though actually I got reprimanded in my bubble. I didn't mention this. So I was up there with my wife and, when we play, we'll buy them for the same, whatever. We'll buy it on the same card and we'll play together. And, as long as the person has a bet down, a pass line bet, they'll let her shoot the dice one time, for some fun. And we actually got reprimanded because we were using the same cubicle. And the guy came over. He's like, "Oh, excuse me, you can't shoot from the same cubicle." And I was like, "We're gonna be in the same bed tonight. We can't be in the same cubicle. Why are we gonna take up 2 spots? We're on the same bankroll." And they don't want to get fined, obviously, but they're so serious about the guidelines. It was like, we're married. We can't be in the same craps cubicle here. So
Yeah,
that was a disappointment too. That did turn me off from the craps for the rest of the trip because I was like, we can't even go play together. What are you going to stand in your cubicle? But she doesn't, have $2 in chips waiting for her one. Yeah. Let's get through this.
we actually have
I
another
got my
question
judge.
coming through.
Ooh, okay. I like this. I'll keep you here all night if you let me.
Let's see here. What's the longest roll you've ever witnessed, and how large did the bets get?
Longest roll. 2 that come out are actually, I think 2 of them that came out were both in Vegas with Mark and Dr. Mike, actually. One of them was that one at the D, and I don't know if it was the longest roll, but it was the hottest table. And then at Bally's once, where I was with Mark, I forgot what he got his 4 up to. I don't know if he got up to the table max, but it was close. He started with I think he bought the 4 for 25, and they'll talk about it on their show. I think it might have been a Vegas Vacation or I don't know what event it was, but it might have been Zorkfest. But that was a good one. And I mean, one time. Basically, the longest I've seen is when somebody buys a quarter on the 4 or 10 and gets to the table max. That's like the ultimate, and that's not. And you're not 7 and out, so that's about as good as it gets, I would say. And I've never done that. I've tried, but
I have a friend.
That's my dream is to get to that.
I have a friend out here. I think he was watching Bird Dog, and he likes to bet those 4s and 10s, and he loves to press those things up. And when they hit,
what?
You make some money.
It's a fun strategy. It really is because, I like the 4 and the 10. I don't know what it is, but the 2-2 and the 5-5, I like them both. And that's something that I've been dabbling with too, along with all my other stupid bets I've been doing at the table. But that's one that if I'm not doing the 3-point Molly and I'm not buying a 6 and 8, sometimes I'll buy the 4 or the 10 and just see, all right, let's see how long this lasts. But a couple of swift 7s after you're throwing the quarter on the 4s and the 10s, that'll change pretty quick, because really then you're fast. Like, do I really want to press this, or do I want to take a couple bucks back here? But we'll see. I'll have to come back on if I ever do get that 4 or 10 up to the table max. I'll
for sure. That is one thing I forgot to tell you. When I set my don't pass, if it is a 4 or a 10, I will play the hard way on that one. Just because.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. The hard way. And I try not to play the hard ways, which you're not going to believe me, but I really do. The only time I've cut it down. So the only time I play a hard way is if the point is even. So if it's 4, 6, 8, 10 point, I'll do my pass line, my odds, blah, blah, and I'll throw the hard way out, and I'll give it a 2-way for the dealer. Sometimes I'll throw the nickel. I'll start with the 3-2. So they hear me. You'll be surprised how much better the dealers hear when you say 2-way or dealer bet. They all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, well, the guy on the hook over there, and then they got it. Where normally I'm like, oh, hey, can I have a horn? And it's like, oh, the nickel disappears. They don't know what happened. But once you get the dealer 2-way anything, that assures your bet will make it to the middle and be placed properly. So I feel like I feel like I'm confessing. I only do the hard ways when it's an even point, I swear.
I was going to say, you're right. A dollar bet, the oddest experience was at a small casino in middle of Oklahoma. And I made a $1 pass line bet for the dealers. That dealer was so grateful. It was the stick man. The stick man would actually move back when I was throwing. It's like, that never happens. And it was just $1. And every time I was throwing, he would move out of my way. That was great.
And you know what? Like, all dealers appreciate the tips, but craps dealers can really affect the game you're playing, just in general, the fun you're having, because you have to interact with them and you're relying on them to pay you, right? And where it's like, if you have a good dealer that's on top of you, and sometimes the real good dealers, they'll be like, okay, this guy's betting this. So then they'll say, oh, you want to put oh, wait, you want another comeback? Did you forget your they'll remind you sometimes when stuff's going on. Oh, you want to put that back up, where, obviously you tip all your dealers, but I always love going out there early, tipping the craps dealer early. That actually is a good tidbit for people who are novices, who are just starting to play. If you tip the dealer early, they're going to try and help you.
And
something as simple as your odds, where you want your 5 or 9 odds to be even, where you don't always think about that, or you forget about it when you're a novice and you're just starting. Or a good dealer that you tip, they'll say, oh, you might want to put $1 on that. Make it instead of doing 25 odds, do 26, because you'll get paid better. It's those little things they help you with that, it wouldn't make a big deal in the course of your life, but it makes your game that much more fun. Yeah. And then they celebrate when you win. There's nothing better when they hit the hard way together and you and the dealers are slapping 5s and you're like, yeah, finally my tip went to you guys and not the middleman who gets all the tips that I bet for you.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times that I've ordered food for the crew, and that gets you appreciation like nothing else you've ever seen. I've ordered them nachos and had it sent to the break room. We were in Blackhawk, Colorado back in October, and me and the group I was with, we bought pizzas for the crew. It's not that much money, and you're going to tip it anyway. And so something other than just handing them a few bucks, feeding the crew, feeding the animals really does make a difference.
I've never thought of that. I've never thought about the through the stomach to get their love for you. That's how my wife got me. So it works. you go to their heart through the stomach. So maybe I might have to bring that. Hey, you guys want a little bit? I don't know. Hey, lady, can I get 5 scotches? We got one for the stick guy, one for the dealer. Box there. What do you want? Well, who knows? I never even thought of that. That's actually a very interesting, fun thing to do especially if they're going on break. And it's like the new guy comes in, you're like, oh, get this guy a pizza on me.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happens after I buy it. If it goes into the break room, I'm sure the blackjack dealers and roulette guys. I mean, I'm sure they all grab
right. They're probably like, "Where's the pizza?" Like, "Oh yeah, the Ultimate Texas Hold'em crew ate it. They were back here 2 minutes ago."
Yeah. So So that is actually my favorite way to tip is to buy them some food, and yeah,
And
obviously
I
I
got one more.
like
I got
food.
one more question for you. We're going to turn this interview upside down
All
again.
right.
But so the furthest you've been east is Michigan, but you do go to Vegas. Do you have a favorite place to stay in Vegas? Do you have a Vegas ritual you do? Because it's like everyone has their own Vegas, routine. Everyone's a little bit different. Do you have one that when you go
Mhm.
out there?
I stay where I'm comped.
Oh
So
well, that's usually my routine too. To be honest with you.
yeah, I've been actually very fortunate. The company that I work for has sent me to Vegas the last 3 or 4 years, and I've got to stay at Bellagio, at the Aria. So I've been able to stay at a couple of really nice places. But I usually extend that stay, and then on my own dime, I'll go. I've stayed at Excalibur. I've stayed at Harrah's. Uh, Bally's. I've stayed at Bally's. Uh,
Now, is there one that stood out as your favorite, and is there one that stood out as I'm never staying there again? I mean, because I haven't stayed at the Bellagio, I feel ashamed, but that's one place I do want to stay. But is it worth it?
Um, Not for me. The room. I'm not in the room except for to sleep. So
It's the truth.
I will say, except for the Venetian, I got to stay there on. I had some hotel points, and was able to stay one night in the Venetian, and that was a phenomenal room. I loved that room, and the view of the strip and the mountains in the background, that was that was fantastic. That was worth the 100,000 points that I spent for one night.
One night,
Uh,
that's how me and my wife did it. We got a suite at Mandalay Bay for a couple nights, and we were like, "This is unbelievable." Because normally Mandalay, it's kind of down the strip, so I don't
yep.
really stay there anyway. And I can I have okay status at MGM now, but I'm not a huge MGM guy. I usually do Caesars more because of Atlantic City, and
Yeah.
they're just nicer to me when it comes to comps. But
Well, I
but
stayed
what was
at
your worst? What is there one
the
bad one?
not that I've stayed at so far. I've also stayed at Mandalay Bay for a couple of conferences, and I will say the one thing about that is the walk from the hotel to the conference center is almost a complete mile. So
It is it's a
if you're
big
going there for a
property.
conference, bring some tennis shoes because you're going to need them. It's a long, long walk.
I can concur with that. Is because we that's the first thing I was like, oh my god, this I thought it was far on the strip. The whole place is huge. Just to get to the
Yeah.
lobby, to the room, back to the floor, it was like. And we went to a couple of restaurants, and then they got the Delano back there, so you're kind of at Mandalay Bay, but you just got
Hmm.
a further walk to get to the Delano. But both the all beautiful properties. Now I'm getting all hyped. Now I want to go back out to Vegas.
Well, and
I
you
have to
asked
cancel
about
my
the worst
Atlantic.
one. My very first trip to Vegas was I stayed at Excalibur and stayed there probably 4 or 5 times. And I'd say I only had one bad experience, and it wasn't a bad experience, but I was on the first floor, so there was a lot of
Oh, that's
traffic.
tough.
There was some noise,
Did
and
you get
then
the beat from the club too in the middle of the night? The music going.
I can
Those
sleep
are the
through pretty
tough.
much anything, so I don't know.
Oh yes, I sometimes I get the club room where you're like really low and you hear doof doof
Yeah,
doof doof
yeah.
till like 2 in the morning.
But
Not that you're going to
the
bed.
so I was thinking, okay, first floor, but what's the view like? Do I have a view out to the strip somehow? Nope. Open it up, and you see the tower right beside you. You get a concrete wall. So
That's the worst. That's like the Manhattan view when I go to the Knicks games. You're like,
yeah,
oh look, a brick wall. Oh maybe I can see into someone's window. That's about it. That means they can see into my window. Perfect.
yeah. But like I said,
So yeah.
I really haven't had a bad stay in Vegas. I love going there, and I'm planning a trip right now to go in June. Waiting to see what my host can do for me. And I suspect I'll probably be back at Harrah's or Bally's uh, in June.
And the locate you can't beat the location of the hair or the ballot. That's the nice thing. It's like, you're saying center strip. It doesn't really matter how, you're going to get a decent enough room and you're going to be in walking distance to any place you can imagine down there. So you
Yeah.
really can't beat it. But if you
So
ever are coming out to the East Coast, if you come up to Connecticut, let me know. Atlantic City, I got the wife and the kids, so it's not exactly, it's not exactly going crazy these days, but I'll still go crazy up in Mohegan or Foxwoods with you guys.
yeah. Well, my wife and I we've talked about an Atlantic City trip before. So And now that COVID seems to be winding down, we might dust off those plans and see what we can do. It won't be this year, but maybe we can put that on the agenda for next year.
Oh, and what's it called? I'll have to tag you. I'm going to be interviewing. I was talking about that Atlantic City group. I'm going to be interviewing one of the people that are in that group to get the update on how Atlantic City is with the COVID, because I haven't been there since COVID. So you're saying, things got to be drastically different. Restaurants are gone. A lot of has had to change down there. So we'll get some updates for you on the show.
Awesome. Love to hear it. All right, Cousin Vito, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, you have been a silent mentor to me, and listening to your podcast and trying to learn.
Thank you
how
so
to
much.
do this. So thank you again for coming on the show. All right, guys, I do have.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. I do have one special little video that I wanted to show. Earlier this week, I spent a couple of days in Blackhawk, Colorado. And for many of you, you know that my craps table that I have in my basement, I just took it down. We took off some of the parts, and I am having a real craps table built for me by a master woodcrafter, as how I would describe them. But I put together this little bitty promo video that I think you're going to like. Hang in with me for just a minute and take a look at this. Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wood Shop at an undisclosed location in Denver, Colorado. I'm here today to work on my table. I should be taking delivery of it here before too long, but the guys that are doing this are kind of slow. I'm here to speed things along. I'm here to give a little elbow grease and see what we can do. But first, you got to dress for the part. We got to get dressed in these overalls here, if I can figure them out. As I was growing up, we called these pawpaw pants. Yeah, I don't know how to put on pants. All right, here we are ready to work. Let's see what we can get done today, guys. Yeah, so there you have it. That's a sneak peek of the table that's coming. It's still going to be a couple of months before I take delivery of it. We ordered leather from Italy that we're going to actually do the rails, or the armrest is going to be done in genuine leather. So it's going to take a little while before I get it, and I'm going to miss my practice table, but I'm really looking forward to the delivery of the new one. So we'll have more to come on that soon. All right, let's take a quick look at what's coming up next here on a Talking Craps show. Next week, we are deviating from craps about as far as you can go. We've got Lady Luck HQ, one of the most widely viewed slot machine YouTube videos. She's going to be here as our special guest next Monday. Following that, we've got another night with Howard Rock and Roller Newman. He is back in the casinos, and he is back with some new stories. On April 19th, we've got Platinum Craps author Garrison Russell. And on April 26th, I'm going to call it the Council of Craps. Or I'll call it the first Council of Craps. We've got Press by One going to join us, Sarge, and I have room for 2 more people. So if you're interested in being on this Council of Craps for a night, please send me an email, contact me, and let's see about what we can do to get you on the show. And then I'll be working on some other guests for the month of May. So that's going to do it for tonight, guys. I really do appreciate everybody that's watching us. If you liked it, please subscribe, like it, and leave us some comments. All right, guys, that'll do it for this week. We'll talk to you next week.